welcome back to another episode of Finance Uncut. In today's episode, we're going to have a look at the unemployment crisis about to hit Australia. So we've previously done a video, which I'll put a link to at the end of this video, where we discussed Australia's unemployment numbers and how I think we've got an economic collapse, which is happening, but the real economic collapse is going to happen around the corner. Probably beginning in 2021. And you can see here the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or the ABS, and I emphasise the BS in that ABS, says that unemployment fell 6.8%. Now, outside of the ABS, no reputable economist or organisation thought that unemployment was going to fall. In fact, everyone thought it was going to increase to somewhere between 8 and 9%, if not higher. Now, in that video, I talked about how I look at the Roy Morgan data. And the Roy Morgan data for the end of August had unemployment at 13.8%. Now, we'll have a look at their latest data and see where unemployment's gone. But I find that Roy Morgan is a lot more accurate than the ABS. Now, according to the ABS data, a lot of the unemployment came from owner-manager without employees. So people who set up an ABN number. They might have driven an hour for Uber or an hour delivering food on Menulog, and well, according to the ABS, they're fully employed. They're fully employed. But what I said in a previous video was that all they had to do was contact Centrelink. Pick up the phone. Hey guys, how many people are receiving JobSeeker? Which is the old dole, unemployment benefits, whatever you want to call it, 1.6 million Australians. So if you take that data, you can see what the unemployment numbers would be. Now, let's have a look at the actual Roy Morgan unemployment numbers for September. So unemployment was down to 12.9%. Lowest in two most open states of New South Wales and South Australia. So let's have a look at just the highlights. We won't run through all of it, but the workforce is down. Okay, so if we have a look, so the total workforce is down 208,000 since August. We can see that fewer Australians are employed. That's down 56,000. So full-time employment was down 160,000. Part-time employment was up 104,000. So that's where you get that net loss of 56,000. So fewer Australians looking for work as well. So that was 152,000 people, less people looking for work. Which you can see there. So if we come down here, Roy Morgan's unemployment figure of 12.9% for September is significantly higher than the current ABS estimate for August 2020 of 6.8%. However, the ABS figure for August estimated a large decline in the size of the workforce since March, which they said was down 232,000. So 232,000. What do we got? Roy Morgan says that the number is 152,000. So when someone isn't looking for work, they're not counted as being unemployed. So they might be unemployed, but they've stopped looking for work. Well, they're not classified. They're just out of the workforce. They're out of the employment market. So they're not included. So this can have an effect on what that headline number is. Now, according to Roy Morgan, 152,000 fewer people were looking for work, where the ABS said that it was 232,000. So that's a fair difference there. Let's read on. The ABS also counted an additional 152,000 Australians who were working 0 hours as employed. Look at that. 152,000 Australians who were working 0 hours in August as employed. So one, they have more people not looking for work, and then they add 152,000 people who were working 0 hours as employed. So people who had no work, not enough work available, or were stood down. If these non-workers are added to the ABS unemployment estimate for August, it increases to 1.33 million people, or 9.7%. So even if you don't use the job seeker numbers, those that are on job seeker, even if you just look at their own data, look at this, and take those Australians who were working 0 hours, that's 0 hours, then the unemployment number, according to the ABS, would be 9.7%, a lot higher than the 6.8%. So Michelle Levine says that Roy Morgan's unemployment measure for September shows 1.83 million Australians were unemployed, or 12.9% of the workforce, with an additional 1.33 million, or 9.4%, underemployed. In total, 3.16 million Australians, 22.3%, were unemployed or underemployed, down 112,000 on a month ago. So let's have a look at what Michelle says here again. Unemployment decreased in September, driven by falls across all states apart from lockdown Victoria, with unemployment virtually unchanged on a month ago at 12.1%. However, the drop in unemployment was driven by a contracting workforce rather than a surge in new jobs. So there you go. Contracting workforce rather than a surge in new jobs. Now, when you're sitting at home and you're looking at the mainstream media, looking at the news, and you see the headline unemployment number of 6.8%, that it's fallen from whatever it was, 7.6% or something, you automatically think that there's been a massive surge in new jobs. You don't think that people have just set up an ABN number and are now driving Uber or something. That's not what people think, but that's exactly how these numbers are calculated. So let's have a look here. So New South Wales and South Australia drive the fall in unemployment, and New South Wales again has the lowest of all. A look at the trends on a state-based level shows unemployment decreasing in all states except Victoria, which has spent the last 3 months in either stage 3 or 4 lockdown, with residents confined to their homes. New South Wales and South Australia had the largest declines in unemployment in September and remains well below the national average, in both at around 11%. There were declines in unemployment for lockdown states of Queensland, WA and Tasmania, but all three still have high rates of unemployment of at least 15% for a second straight month. So I'm based in Queensland, so we have got over 15% for the last 2 months in a row, according to Roy Morgan. And here you can see the Roy Morgan unemployment and underemployment data. So 12.9% fallen from 13.8 in August. Let's have a look at what Michelle, once again, the CEO of Roy Morgan, says about unemployment. So the decrease, so we're starting here, so the decrease in the headline unemployment figure from 13.8% to 12.9% is not good news. The decrease in unemployment reflects the disturbing situation where more people have stopped looking for work. In September, there were 56,000 fewer jobs or employed people and 152,000 fewer people looking for jobs. It's a strange mathematical conundrum that we could have no unemployment. If everyone without a job simply gave up looking, clearly this was never the intent of the unemployment metric, and that's what I was saying. So if people just stop, if everyone in Australia just stopped looking for work, then we'd have zero unemployment, and we'd think that the economy is booming. But it's just simply because people aren't looking for work. At a time like now, when jobs are held open and the economy is held up by government support, the metrics like unemployment, employment, and the workforce take on very different meanings. What we call the workforce is simply the sum of employed people plus people who are looking for work, which are unemployed. What about those who are employed but stood down on JobKeeper? Like a holding pen, waiting for their job to come back so they join the employed, or waiting to find they have no job. Their employer no longer exists, or their job no longer exists, or their employer no longer needs them or can no longer afford them, so they join the unemployed. The Roy Morgan unemployment data suggests most of these people are not looking for work. Indeed, the data shows fewer people are now looking for work than last month. Shows fewer people are now looking for work than last month, even though fewer now have jobs. This means the Australian workforce has shrunk. Government support measures including JobKeeper and JobSeeker were both reduced at the end of September, with the JobKeeper wage subsidy for full-time workers lowered by $300 to $1,200 a fortnight and cut in half to $750 a fortnight for part-time workers. The JobSeeker payment for the unemployed has also been cut by $300 a fortnight. The reduction in government support is forcing businesses that have relied upon these payments to continue trading over the last few months to assess how many of their employees are vital to the business and which may be too costly to continue to employ without the government payments. The first tapering of the JobKeeper wage subsidy has brought these pressures into sharp relief and highlighted the importance of opening up economies when it is safe to do so. The most open state economy, New South Wales, has the lowest unemployment rate of around 11%, and the second most open state, South Australia, is only slightly higher. In contrast, the highest unemployment rates are in Queensland, WA and Tasmania, all states which have had hard border closures for months. The unemployment rates in all three states is above 15% for the second straight month. The question is when, if ever, will people start looking for work again? The federal government's suite of economic support payments and programs including JobKeeper and JobSeeker and additional payments to those on other benefits has successfully cushioned the most people from the immediate economic effects of the Cerveza sickness and the associated lockdown measures. Well, I would say that it's all to do with the lockdown measures. That was government decisions, and you may agree or disagree with them, whatever. Anyway, let's keep reading. For many, their personal and household financial situation is better than before the Cerveza sickness. And in that previous video that I did about the coming economic collapse, I showed a graph from the Commonwealth Bank that showed that we've actually had a net cash flow increase, that people's households have actually improved from a cash flow perspective. More money coming in and less to spend on it, she says. The metric on or number to watch is the number of people looking for work, measured in thousands of people. Real unemployment in thousands of people. The truth is this number must go up. People must start looking for work if we are able to get the economy going. Jobs must be created. So further on to this is just Roy Morgan's data, seasonally adjusted, monthly averages, quarterly average, etc., etc. So there you have it. There's the Roy Morgan data explained. One of the reasons why I like the Roy Morgan data, I think it's a lot more accurate than the ABS. And one of the reasons why I want to get this video out to you is because most of us, we just read, the newspapers, get the headline, watch the news, get that headline number that unemployment is 6.8%, and we all think, wow, the economy is booming, let's go out and spend, there's no unemployment happening, everything's good, there's a surge in new jobs. But when you actually peel back the layers and have a look at the data, it says that things aren't good. In fact, I think the pain is yet to come as JobKeeper and JobSeeker continue to wind down, and businesses are going to have to, and don't forget that businesses have actually seen over a 15% increase in profits because they've had this government subsidy, that the governments have been subsidising their largest cost, which is labour costs. And but when governments stop subsidising and they've got to start paying for it themselves, can they afford to keep everyone on? Those people that lose jobs, are they going to look for new jobs, or are they going to accept that they're unemployed for good now? I see the unemployment rate surging. I see the Roy Morgan unemployment rate surging, and this is one of the reasons why I think the Australian economy is in deep trouble. And I think next year is when the pain is going to really set in. And so, a lot of people think that I'm quite bearish and negative, and I just look at the data and it tells me that there's bad times to come, that we haven't yet had that real pain. The pain's been cushioned, and I think it's tricked a lot of us. I think a lot of us think that things aren't too bad, but the real pain is yet to come. And so I want to implore you, whether you're employed or not employed, but especially those of you that still have your jobs, get prepared now. Get prepared now. So I'm telling people, start to build up an emergency fund. Build yourself some liquidity. Start paying off your credit card debt, your personal loan debt, your car loan debt, that sort of stuff. Reduce your expenses. So by paying off that debt, you'll reduce your expenses. But also, even if it's for 12 months or so, just cut down on your expenses. Start making your own coffee or tea if instead of buying it at a local cafe. Do you really need Netflix and Stan and Foxtel and all those things? Can you do without it for 12 months or so? Have a look at your mobile phone plans. Are you able to reduce your mobile phone plans to reduce your outgoings, or your electricity, or your insurances? I'm not saying cut your insurance. I'm just saying have a look at your expenses. See if you can reduce them. Build more, fat into your financial cash flow situation. But definitely just get your personal finances in order. Now, for many of you, you're not going to lose your job, but even following these steps, in 12 months, in 2 years' time, you're going to be in such a better financial position that you'll get through the bad part, and that you'll be able to prosper on the other side. So I guess I want to do these videos to share with you my thoughts, what I'm seeing in the data. Now, if I see bullish data, stuff that says, there's a boom in this sector or that sector, and I'm going to do more of those videos in how I'm investing and where I am parking, my cash flow and my assets and stuff like that. And I am very bullish on some sectors, and I'm heavily invested in some sectors, and I'll share those in other videos. So, but I just want to give you this data. I want to share my thoughts and my opinions. Now, you can throw my opinions and my thoughts in the bin and say, well, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Fine. But those of you that do find this interesting, that do find the data that I use and I put out there, if that can help educate you to make better and wiser decisions, to prepare you for what I believe is to come, then it's all worth it. So anyway, what do you guys think? Love to see your comments below. Do you think the ABS is right, that unemployment really is at 6.8%? Do you think the Roy Morgan data is right? Or do you think I'm completely gone loopy and bananas and whatever? So anyway, love to see your comments below. Thanks for joining me on this video, and I'll see you again on another episode of Finance Uncut.